Today we're trying to save the world 45 searches at a time.
Salutations, friends.
Salutations.
Salutations, friends.
Salutations.
My name is Brianna Bond, otherwise known as No Ordinary Scholar.
I thought it was about time that I preached my piece. Spoiler alert, it's about time.
I'm not a betting girl. That sounds amazing.
I'm listening.
Are you ready?
Global warming. It's regularly been an issue. It's starting to be more and more talked about as it becomes more and more imminent that we might not be able to survive on this planet for a lot longer. Definitely generations to come are going to struggle. And the issues, there are a lot of issues with global warming, from the fact that there are people that don't believe in global warming to the fact that a lot of people do not understand that how they, in their day-to-day lives, can help. But honestly, there are a lot of things people can do. A lot of people aren't really interested in going out of their way to try and do this or that would help the environment. There are people who aren't interested in trying to keep track of a metal straw or trying to keep track of a bag, a reusable bag that they'd have to bring into the store, and now they forgot. There's also the issue, and this, I feel like a lot of people do not talk about this, is that a lot of the conversions you would have to do, like switching over to reusable, buying reusable plastic bags, stuff like that, buying reusable plates, buying these metal straws, that all costs money. And there is a lower class population that can't afford to do all of these things. And I feel like people aren't talking about how, in all of these global plans, how we are going to ensure that these people are not going without, if that makes sense. There are people who live paycheck to paycheck. I've been there. Trust me, I've been there. You live paycheck to paycheck. You are barely sure if you will be able to get enough food for the week or the month. You're barely sure you'll be able to get that much food. You might not even be able to get that much food. You have enough money to get the things that you need now. You honestly don't even have enough money to say, hey, this pack of toilet paper is on sale right now. It would be cheaper to get it now than get it later, but I don't have money to get it now. I already have some. I can't afford to spend the extra money to get that. Or maybe my kid's not gonna have food this week. It would eventually kind of level out, but right now, I don't want my kid to go without eating, so I can start that. So how are we going to make it so it is accessible for these lower class families to be able to, hey, purchase reusable plastic bags, purchase enough to make sure their kids can get all of the foods that they need for their lunches, make sure kids are able to get everything that they need. That's not a conversation a lot of people often have, because there is a price tag that comes over with the conversion. There is an upfront cost that comes over with converting to a lot of reusable materials, stuff like that. There's an upfront cost. Heck, some of them, like products at Lush, are super environmentally friendly, stuff like that. But those cost way more than like a bottle of Suave soap. That's like, it's literally like $2 for that, but it's thick plastic. It's been shipped in probably not great condition, stuff like that. Lush, there's no plastic in the container. They've made sure that the shipping is all like local, stuff like there's a price tag that people are not often addressing, and I think that's super important, because that lower class is going to be the majority of people in the city, in the state, in the world. Those are going to be the majority, and those people need to be tended to, or else there's not going to be able to be progress if they are not able to afford that upfront cost. And it's not going to help if we try and take that upfront cost from them. There needs to be a way for the distribution of these materials to start at the bottom. That was my rant. But like I was saying, even people who could like afford the reusable plastic bags and the metal straws, there are people who can afford this stuff, still don't do it because they don't want to go out of their way to do it. But I think I found something that is a nice little in-between that we can all be happy about. Ecosia. On a computer, it is a search engine that you can add on to your normal browser. On mobile, they do have a full browser app that you can use. Biggest selling point of Ecosia is the fact that For every 45 searches that you do on their app or on their add-on, whatever, they plant a tree. I mean, just based on the number of tabs you leave open, you've probably planted 3 already. Day, don't judge my process, okay? Obviously, the upside of the browser is that it seems like a really painless, almost like hands-free. You don't actually have to go out of your way for much in terms of using this. But using it does help the environment. That's the major upside. Unfortunately, while Ecosia has been around for a while, people still don't know a lot about it. It's new to a lot of people. So I wanted to help here. And first, we are actually going to start with a comparison between Ecosia and several other browsers. So overall, this is going to include Google, Yahoo, Bing, YouTube, and of course, Ecosia. Why is YouTube on this list? While YouTube is mostly understood to be a video sharing platform, at its core, it is a search engine. And I was hoping the more I praise them, the more the YouTube gods will show me mercy. For this test, what I ended up doing was I looked up the same term across all of these different engines, and I looked up things in different kind of categories. What I was keeping in mind the entire time was convenience for sure. That's because, let's be honest right now, the only reason you look up what that random celebrity that was on your favorite show when you were like 13 is doing and what they're up to today is because you can conveniently find that information. Imagine if you still had to look in like encyclopedias for stuff. Dog, you'd let that go. You might ask a couple people, but you wouldn't go out of your way to go through every magazine in the world, every newspaper in the world, go through every like movie theater to see if there ain't something new. You wouldn't do that. Be honest. You'd let that go. I would, though, like to take this time before I start to warn you guys that this is going to be a bit dense. In other words, boring. Nerd. Can I get copyright stricken for that? Does anyone know? You need to stop being so mean. God. Why you gotta be so rude? Go check out my Throwback Thursday Romeo and Juliet. Check it out. So we're starting off with research. Research-wise, Ecosia was fine. I think the biggest advantage that they did have was they did have a side panel. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. If you know when you're on a computer, you Google something, there's enough space for there to be like a side panel of information about whatever you're looking up. The term I looked up was Romeo and Juliet because, obviously, I'm not a Monty today. I'm just portraying the colors as media normally does. Duh. Capulet for life. But yeah, it had a side panel. That was interesting. And a side panel is the most convenient way to get information. It gives you usually a basic summary of whatever you're looking about. Maybe a little bit more information like characters, date it was created, the writer, stuff like that. It's just a side panel is a great way to get base information and find like a good jumping off point. But overall, when looking up Romeo and Juliet in terms of research, the best search engine was actually Bing. How can you even say that? I'm sorry, it's true. They had a lot of really nice features to it. There was a massive side panel that had just a ton of information. There was an info panel above where all the searches were. They like separated articles specifically about Romeo and Juliet. And in addition to that, they also have a separate site it's titled Microsoft Academic, where you can go and specifically get scholarly articles that are in reference to the specific topic. All of that makes it such a great source of information. It's such a great place to be able to find information you're looking for. I would like to note for those who are super hardcore Google, there is Google Scholar, which is also similar to Microsoft Academic, and that it is a way to kind of weed out like tabloids, stuff like that, weed out the Leos in the group and just specifically get academic information. I would like to say I also did look up shopping, and I specifically looked up the term A5 bullet journal because I'm obsessed with bullet journaling right now. If you didn't know, please go check out my vlog channel. The reason why I'm not giving more of a segment to this is because I don't shop through a browser. I specifically, if I'm looking for something to shop, I will go to a specific website. Like on most stuff, I go to Amazon, or I just buy it from someplace near me. But other than that, I don't really go online specifically looking for different shops. Though, based on what I did find, I said Google was probably the best in terms of shopping. It did provide like side panel for information. It provided some articles. It had follow-up questions to help me figure out exactly what I wanted. There were images, there were videos with reviews. That was probably the best. But entertainment wise, this one is a massive umbrella. I threw a lot of different things under this one, and the reason why I was really wanting to do a decent dig on this one is because this is the thing I've had the most issues with on the mobile. I've actually been using Ecosia for not several months, maybe 2 at this point, but over a month at this point. I've been using Ecosia, and the biggest issue I have on mobile is if I'm looking up like just a celebrity, I don't get really any panel of information about the celebrity. I'll get a tabloid article, I'll get the actual IMDb page, I might get Wikipedia, but it might be a little bit further down. That's the biggest struggle I've been having with Ecosia, but at the same time, I still have Chrome on my computer, and that's been able to make up for that. The other thing is, I don't have these memorized. I actually only learned about them long after I did this test for Ecosia, actually, but there are a bunch of shortcuts and codes that you can put into the search where it'll count as an Ecosia search. It might take you over to the Google search results or show you the Google search results for something, so that way you can get the full experience of this is the information and these are the things that Google would provide you with if you were using Google or if you were using Bing, something like that, but you can still work towards getting those trees planted. But that is something you would kind of have to go out of your way to learn, although you can learn just the specific ones that you would want. Again, but I think it makes up for it. But I definitely didn't have that many issues with entertainment on the computer. On the computer, Ecosia was just fine, but I really didn't say it was the best in any of the categories, because again, that's not really been the major focus. They're working on making sure that you are getting the right information. Like, they haven't been at it as long as Google has, let me just say. I looked up the term funny videos, which obviously YouTube was the best browser for that. So yes. I looked up Chance the Rapper. Again, I thought Bing was the best. I'm actually very surprised at Bing's performance throughout this entire thing. But again, I thought Bing was the best for that term. And I looked up Bad Boys in terms of the movie Bad Boys. A lot of the sites gave me just information about Bad Boys 3, which I don't hate, but that's kind of not what I was looking for. But Google, I thought, gave the best in terms of the movies. So yeah, again, I didn't put Ecosia on top really for any of these, but it still does the job plenty good. It does the job well enough to be non-offensive when you are trying to use it. And so because of that, I think it is definitely still worth a look. Okay, but what do you really know about Ecosia? Don't worry, I looked into it. I got you. I got you. Obviously, today's society, we are very careful, trying to be more careful about what we do, what information we give online, what we use online, what we download, all of that. So it would be ridiculous of me to put out this video and say all of these things about Ecosia without actually doing any actual research on the app itself and on the add-on itself. So for this portion of the video, I'm actually going to open the floor up to questions from Day Day. Why are you saying that like that's not what I do already? Oh, well, you just asked a damn question already. Fine. Do they actually plant trees? Yes. Every year, Ecosia regularly publishes and makes public all of their business statements. What did I call it? Business reports. Same thing. they give about 80% of the profits to organizations that focus on trying to plant trees, reforestation, and focusing on biodiversity hotspots. Y'all can look that one up by yourself. At this point, they've planted approximately 70 million trees. So I guess they don't technically plant the trees themselves, but again, they are making sure trees are getting planted. They're keeping track of the number of trees that are getting planted. So that's an okay in my book. And I don't think they plan on slowing down anytime soon, because at the moment, the two founders of the browser of the company have actually sold so much of the stock to different charity organizations that they can no longer sell Ecosia, nor can they make themselves a profit from Ecosia at this point. That's cool and all, but is it secure? That's something you were talking about, right? I'm so glad you're starting to listen. And actually, your information with Ecosia is more secure than it is on Google, but I will admit it's less secure than on a search engine that is devoted specifically to privacy. They don't sell any of your information, and they don't even pass your information through like third-party analytical sites that are supposed to help you kind of figure out like maybe what ads or what your audience is, stuff like that. And they do keep some information, a little bit of information, but with that information, they don't create a profile about you based on your searches. In fact, the information that they do keep is made anonymous after a week. If they don't sell your information, how are they making money? Simple. Ads. Anything else? Is Ecosia a virus? So there has been a thing going around the interwebs claiming that Ecosia is a virus. I believe they specifically call it a browser hijacker. The issue I have with this is I went to these sites where they are making these claims, and there weren't a ton of them, but I went to several of these sites, and the damaging effects they say Ecosia has are essentially the same effects you would have anytime you change your primary search engine. So they said, oh, when you type something into the browser, it leads you to Ecosia search browsers. That would happen if you changed your search engine. If you open a new tab, it's an Ecosia tab. There are ads in the search results. All of these things I've seen with like a Google, Bing, they happen regularly. So maybe, yeah, it's by definition a browser hijacker, but then so is Google, so is Bing, so is Yahoo. People were saying that Ecosia was nearly impossible to delete, though. That's really on them. The people that are saying that Ecosia is super difficult to delete just don't really understand computers or technology and stuff like that. Because one of them actually did post how to delete Ecosia on it was a commentary site, commenting and rating the app itself and the add-on. And the way you delete the add-on of Ecosia is literally the same way you would delete any computer add-on. These people don't understand how to delete an add-on to a computer browser. And that's not Ecosia's fault. I don't think you could delete it without going through the actual browser itself. The things I was talking about earlier, those were the only things that they could say for sure Ecosia was doing with your computer. The other things were purely speculative, so they'd be saying, oh, they might do this, they could be doing this, they might be doing that. So they're just guessing on what is a possibility, but again, Ecosia is doing nothing different than literally most other search engines out there. They're just kind of minimizing that fact when you read those other articles. Who would actually go to all that trouble if Ecosia is actually no different than any other search engine? Let's be clear. Under that definition, Ecosia is a browser hijacker. The issue is they're minimizing the fact that anytime you change the search engine, this is what happens. Because a lot of people don't recognize that, and a lot of people honestly probably just aren't used to these terminologies and aren't going to be able to associate the similarities. It is highly possible, and I honestly think it's pretty likely that someone is taking advantage of a lot of people's ignorance to this technical discussion to be able to make their point. They even talk about And this is what bothered me. They are even trying to make it seem suspicious that people are looking up whether or not Ecosia is safe. But like I said earlier, this is an age where people are trying to be super safe with what they're doing and what they're consuming and what they're allowing access to their personal information online. If you don't know anything about Ecosia, then obviously you want to know if it is safe for you and for you to be using. If Bing had just started up today, people would be saying the exact same things. It's not because Ecosia is potentially dangerous, it's because Ecosia is new. The main reason why I think people are trying to capitalize off of and trying to take advantage of people that are curious and don't really know what Ecosia is, maybe don't really know what is going on tech-wise with a lot of their stuff, don't know how to delete and add onto their computer, is because they use a title such as what is the Ecosia virus, how to get rid of the Ecosia virus, stuff like that, in a world where you probably are very well aware that a lot of people are just going to see that headline, immediately think, oh, it's a virus, I shouldn't download it, and be turned away not to look any deeper. But why would someone do all this to tear down a search engine that plants trees? They could be trying to sell their own anti-spyware that they are trying to sell and telling people to use in order to get rid of the Ecosia virus. They could be trying to use these clickbaity titles to get people to their sites, drive traffic to their sites, and get their own ad money. They could think that global warming is leftist propaganda and want to keep people from supporting it, or 1,000 other different possibilities. We may never know for sure. But I do hope you guys keep thinking about it. Thank you so much for listening. I know this is kind of different than what I usually would do. I just thought that this is kind of a really interesting idea. I really appreciate the concept and the purpose of the app. I did want to do research before I try and say, hey guys, look at this cool thing. We could all help save the environment this way. Because I want to make sure I'm suggesting to you guys something that not only is good for the planet because trees, but also something that you guys aren't going to just hate having to deal with constantly. And then, of course, I wanted to know about the safety issues, if there were any safety issues with Ecosia. Again, like I said earlier, as far as what they've shown me, it is essentially no different from other search engines. So I just wanted to get into it. I know it's a little bit different. I know, super techy. I don't think I've done anything this techy before. But I thought it would be fun. I thought it'd be a nice change, and I thought it would be super helpful for us all to learn about. If you want to keep hearing from me, next week is going to be a live stream, so we can have some shout-outs. If you want to hear about me and hear from me more often than just once a week, then my Patreon, where you can support me for as little as $2 a month. You can also support me by going to the books to read link. All of these are going to be linked down below, but the books to read link, where it'll have a list of all of these books that I'm reading, all of the books that I'm talking about over here, and if you buy them from those links, then I get just a smidgen of money from it too, which means the world to me. All of your guys' support means the world to me, and I thank you so much. I would not be here having all this fun without you guys. But until next time, valedictions, friends.